So you just got your new Udon 13 v.2 and it's time to assemble. This is a little bit trickier than some of the other assemblies of the other macro pads that we have. So this assembly video will definitely help you out a little bit in some of the more confusing parts, but we'll go over it step by step. As you can see here, I have my Udon 13 v.2 in its box. I put this box together just a minute ago, just for this video. When you receive it, it would have a shipping label over the top, and it would be taped, crisscrossed. So you just chop the tape down the sides and across the bottom, and you flip open the top. First thing you see when you open the box is your little brown envelope that says, "Open me." Pretty self-explanatory. We're not going to open it just yet. We're going to put it off to the side. Put it over here for now, just so it's not, so I'll put it over here. And then you see we have nice custom tissue paper that's new to the Mad Noodle that I'm very proud of, and a sticker sealing it shut. I'm gonna carefully undo the sticker, and as you open it up, you see there is packing paper. I'm trying to cut back on the foam used. This is a little bit more eco-friendly, it's cheaper, it's better overall. You'll see there's quite a bit of stuff inside. The first things that you'll pull out, and you'll notice that there's a certain thing that's going to happen. So you'll see that you have 2 6-packs of white keycaps. The reason why they're in 6-packs is because the Micro uses 6 keys, and the Udon uses 12, so it's easier to just package a bunch of 6 keycaps and call it a day. Put 2 in each. And the same goes for the switches. I'm using Cherry MX Browns today. You got 2 packs of 6 brown switches. Put those off to the side. These are part of the last step, so you don't really need to worry about those for now. And you also have your nice gold encoder knob. Once again, one of the last steps, so it goes off to the side. Now, inside, you see the piece de resistance, your Udon 13 v.2, sealed in bubble wrap. We'll open this up in a second, but this is just to keep it all nice and protected. And then at the very bottom, the last piece, probably pull out some of the packing paper with this, is your plate set. And inside, you'll see that you have your 2 tilt feet, your screen cover, and then, it's hard to see, but we'll pull it out in a second. You'll have 3 plates. The key plate, the riser plate, and the base plate, and we'll go over all of those when the time comes. So we'll put that off to the side. We don't need the box anymore. You can hold on to it just in case there's any issues with your keypad. It makes it way easier to ship it back. So hold on to it for as long as you like. I'm the kind of person that holds on to boxes forever. But you could toss it if you want. Just remember that if there's an issue, securely pack everything back up. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to pull the keypad out of its bubble wrap. It's just adhesive shut. Remember, it is a PCB, so be a little gentle while opening it up. It shouldn't be a problem though. Just tear it open. It's a little baggy. Once again, this is technically garbage, but hold on to it if you want to, just in case. Makes sending it back a little bit easier in case there's any issues. I forgot to mention, the very, very, very first thing that you do is you go and you wash your hands. You want to make sure that your hands are nice and clean, because fingerprints are the enemy during this. When the surfaces are touched that are going to be sandwiched in between acrylic, you will never be able to clean those unless you pull it all apart and wipe them all down. So it's better to make sure that your hands are nice and clean and as greaseless as possible. I tried my best, but, of course, I'm going to get fingerprints on things. Also, from this point forward, until a few steps later on, try holding the PCB from the edge. Don't touch the top surface, because you don't want a nice big thumbprint right underneath the acrylic where you'll be able to see it for the rest of the time while you have your keypad. Another note is I already pulled it off, but you'll see that here, I'll pull another keypad PCB out. This one's a white one. You'll see that you have a little blue tab. This is a screen cover, so make sure to peel that off as well. This one is already peeled off because I used it for something else. Like I said, I put together this box specifically for this video. But we'll now put this off to the side. Now we'll go back to the brown envelope that states "Open Me." So it's exactly what we'll do. Inside you can see we have a few things. Just dump them out. Make sure it's empty. Make sure there's nothing left inside. We'll put it back over here for now. And inside, you have a few different things. You have your card. This card has a QR code on the back for your getting started guide. This will bring you to a page that has full illustrations on how to assemble the keypad if you're not, that you could follow along with while watching the video. It could help quite a bit. It also brings you to the page where you'll learn how to set up the software like VIA or QMK or whatever you decide to choose. So you can hold on to this. If not, when you're getting to the software side of things, you're going to have to do it from a PC or a Mac, or Linux, whatever, desktop or laptop computer. So you can go to our website and you can access all the guides from there. So this is just a simple way to access those guides, but good to have. Put that over there. Don't need that. You get cool little holographic Mad Noodle sticker. You have your hardware packs. Now there's 2 hardware packs, similar to why I packed 6 of each in the other ones. The first hardware pack is your standard hardware pack. This is the hardware pack that'll also come with your micro or whatever other keypad there may be. This has all the standard hardware plus 2 of the Allen keys that you'll need to use to assemble the keypad. Then you also have another baggie. This is the Udon specific hardware, and it has a few extra pieces in there that we'll go over when that time comes. Then you have your non-slip grip feet. It's hard to see, it's a little blown out. Let's just turn this down a little bit. This goes on either, depending on how you want to use your keypad, either the bottom of your tilt feet or the bottom of your base plate, depending if you want to use your tilt feet or if you just want to keep it flat. These are little adhesive back silicone strips. I'll go over how to put those on a little bit later on. So put that off to the side for right now. The first thing we'll do just to get prepped is I have a little tray here just to hold all of our hardware. And I'll go over the pieces one by one so you know. You have your two Allen keys, like I said before, a bigger one and a smaller one. The bigger one is for your knob, so that's really the only thing that you'll be using this for. Smaller one is for your hardware. Then you have a small M2.5. Is it focusing? Small M2.5 screw. Let's bring this down even a little bit more. It is, you'll have 4 of these in this pack. Then you have your M2.5 by 10 pan head screw, and you'll have 4 of these in this pack as well. And then you'll have your M2.5 brass standoffs, and that's the thing that holds everything together. So I'll just put those into the pack and the baggie off to the side for now. Now on to the Udon specific hardware. You have 2 more of the M2.5 by 10 screws. You'll see that you have 2 smaller socket head M2 screws. So they're a little bit smaller, and you'll definitely be able to notice. You'll have 2 M2.5 brass nuts. And 2 M2 brass nuts. So that's all your hardware. Let's keep these easily accessible, and we'll just put that over here for now. The next step that we're going to do, and like I said, go wash your hands. If you haven't already, this is the time. We're going to open up our plate kit. Inside, you have 2 tilt feet. These come later on, so we don't need to worry about those right at the moment. You have your screen cover. You have your riser plate, which is the slightly thicker plate. You have your key plate, which is the thin plate that goes over the top of this. And then you have your base plate. And you'll notice that the base plate has 2 different sides. This is the only plate that it matters which side is which. You'll notice that the back side of the base plate has countersunk screw holes. All of these plates are covered in protective paper, and we're going to be peeling that off in a second. But remember, back side has the countersunk screws, top side does not. So we'll be going over when that's important. Base plate comes later, so we'll put that with the feet for now. The first plate we're going to work with is the riser plate, the slightly thicker plate. And what we're going to do, the easiest way to start peeling off the protective paper is just with your fingernail. Your nail is not going to scratch the acrylic, but what you're just going to do is find a corner, and if you're lucky, you can get it all off in one piece. I am not feeling so good about this already, but you're just going to go around and like I said, to get it started, just kind of pick at it until you get enough to grip, and we're going to peel it. I like to try to get it all off in one piece, just a little bit of my OCD. And there you go. Perfect. One piece. That's it. Now, from this point forward, only hold these plates as best as you can by the edges. Now we're going to go for the other side.
It's Thursday, July 4th, 2024.
Sorry about that. Hey, Google, stop. And I start from the edge, and I'm just using my thumbnail to start a little piece, and I will start to peel. It doesn't matter if you get it all off in one piece. That this is just me being a little bit insane. I do this so much that it's kind of become a joy in my life. But I do admit that that came off so easily in one piece that it felt really good. All right. If you do end up getting fingerprints on any of these things, just your standard lens cleaning cloth and maybe a little bit of like lens cleaner will get the fingerprints off the acrylic, no problem. What we're going to do with this plate is you're going to make sure that it lines up correctly, and you'll see obviously this is the cutout for the screen, this is the cutout for the encoder. We're going to take our noodle pad and we're going to just, for right now, place it right on top. It's a good practice just to make sure that there's no dust or any dirt or anything underneath there, because once this is on there, it's sandwiched in there until you pull it apart again. So now that's just resting on there. It's not secured or anything, but it keeps it protected and safe. So that's the first part. The second plate we're going to work with is the key plate and also the screen cover. And actually, you know what? Just to make sure, because my surface is a little bit dirty, and you can do this as well with just like a paper towel or some, well, paper towel's a little linty, but you know, whatever it may be, just lay this down. I'm going to start peeling the paper off of this. Still one piece, not bad. And then the back side, same as the other plate.
Yeah.
I'm making a big deal about not touching the surfaces of the acrylic. It's not impossible to clean, so don't worry about it too much, but it does help when you get a good clean start and when your brand new keypad is nice and fresh and clean. All right, so the key plate is now clean. The reason why I put out this is just so I could put it down on that and not have to worry about, you know, whatever is on my table getting stuck to the acrylic. Not a big deal. Not necessary at all. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our screen cover, and you'll notice that it kind of appears black around the edges. And same thing. Get a little corner started. Peel. And peel. And you'll see you'll have your nice translucent smoked acrylic screen cover. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to just place that down on top. You'll see that the two holes should line up there is a little bit of play, so you don't need to worry about it. Now we're going to go for some hardware. What we're going to need is the two very small M2 screws that came in the Udon specific pack. Where are they? So the two very small socket head screws and the two M2 brass nuts, the very small, the smaller of the brass nuts. And we're going to secure the screen cover onto the key plate first and foremost. So let's put these down. Unfortunately, sometimes with the top surface, you don't need to worry so much about fingerprints because it's much easier to clean. It's more the bottom surface that's harder. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a screw into the screw hole, just like I did. I'm going to take the brass screw, the brass nut, and this part's a little tricky, but if you're having trouble, you can always use a pair of tweezers. And I'm just going to get it started. When screwing in acrylic, it is imperative that you are not over tightening. Acrylic is very brittle, so it will crack very, very easily. So be super careful. Next, we're going to go to the other one. I left this screw pretty loose. You can see it still has a little bit of play to it. And that's on purpose, so we can make sure that everything is nice and straight. But we're going to go for the next screw. And I'm just screwing it in. Now, just roughly making sure everything's nice and straight. And if you want, you could give it a little bit of a tighten down, but we still want it a little bit loose just to make sure that everything's nice and straight in the final assembly. To tighten down these nuts, I usually just put a finger just to hold down the nut and give it a little bit of a tighten. And you can make sure it's straight by using the straight and horizontal lines just to make sure. I could see I got a little bit of fingerprints on the back over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just take the cleaning cloth, wipe it down. Not necessary. Also, no longer needed because we have completed this part. And now we're going to take our stack that has the riser plate and the PCB, and we're going to place the key plate with the screen cover on top. You'll see that these two holes next to the OLED screen are big enough to fit the nuts on the bottom and make sure it's nice and secure. So now we have all three plates on there, not secured or anything, so please be careful. Now, one of the tricky parts is done. So what we're going to do now is take 4 of the M2.5 by 10 screws, and we're going, and actually, now that I think about it, the brass standoffs, and we're going to start securing down the base plate. We're going to put in 1 screw through all through both key plates and the PCB, and I want you to put a finger on top of it, and then on the bottom, you'll see you have the little screw sticking out down there, and then you're just gonna loosely tighten down the standoff. Now, I like to do things in a crisscross pattern, just out of habit, and I think it's generally good practice with electronics because you don't want to put too much pressure in single areas. But remember, like I said, this is only loosely tightened. It's not fully tightened down yet, and we're going to do the same thing. So now that both of these screws are in and it is tight enough that the base plates aren't moving around or jiggling around or anything like that, but you still should have a little bit of freedom to move it around, I like to make sure that everything is nice and straight, like I'm evening out a deck of cards. Perfect. And then I'll just tighten those down more to make sure that it's definitely held perfectly in place. And then we're going to put the other two screws in just like before. It could be a little bit tighter this time because everything's now should be straight. You should make sure that everything's flush around the edges, as flush as can be. And that's that part of it. All right. Now onto the base plate. This part is complete. Easy. Now onto the base plate. Peel off protective paper. Perfect. And remember, like I said, the base plate has two sides. The countersunk side, where you can see that the holes are countersunk, and the back side, where the holes are not countersunk. Not super important because no matter what, you're going to get some fingerprints on the base plate. In this next step, we're going to peel the paper off of your tilt feet. Perfect. Easy. Now, you have your base plate and your two tilt feet. Actually, it should go more like this. So we have the bottom of the base plate with the countersunk screw holes facing up. And we're going to take one of our feet, and then you'll see that you have two tabs and two holes. And you're going to just stick the tilt feet into the two holes. Now, we're going to grab two of the M2.5 by 10 screws and two of the M2.5 nuts. And this part is where it gets a little bit tricky and it's a little bit hard. So as you can see, I have my finger, just to make it clear, you can see that there is a little, it's hard to see, but there's a little T-slot. And what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to fit the nut into that T-slot. So I put my finger back behind the T-slot just to prevent the nut from falling all the way through. The nut will only fit in one way with the two flat sides of the nut on going left and right. So now you can see that nut is in the horizontal T-hole. And I'm going to take an M2.5 by 10 screw and our Allen key, and I'm going to tighten it down. Not too tight, but to its full tightness. And now you can see the foot is fully secured. Just see the M2.5 screw and the nut holding everything together. We're going to do the same exact thing on the other side. So I have my finger just preventing the nut from falling through. That one in nice and easily. Then I put the M2.5 screw in, and you can get it started with your fingers, just if it's easier. And screw it down. Now, both tilt feet are in place and good to go. Give it a wipe down because there's definitely fingerprints on it after how we had to handle that, but it's really no big deal. It's on the bottom. Nobody will ever see it. A step that I kind of forgot about that probably would be way easier to do before you put the tilt feet on, but it is your rubber non-slip feet. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to take one of the adhesive feet off, and these are custom made to be almost exactly the same width as the edge of the foot itself, and you want to try to place these in the center of the foot. So you can see I'm just running my fingers along. Yeah, it's a little goofy, but the good thing is about these feet is if with a little bit of a nudge before you press everything down, you can straighten everything out. And then once everything's nice and straight and even, give it a good rub over, and it's now secure and in place. Now we'll do the other foot. The same exact method as the first one. Make sure it's nice and straight and in the center. I know it's a little hard to see, but I'll try my best to get a good image of it. The hardest part is just making sure that the feet are lined up equally on side to side, but they should go on really easily. And as you can see, the way that I do it is I just kind of run my fingers along it like that, and it presses it down just right and keeps it nice and centered. And like I said, if you see it a little bit crooked or anything like that, before you do the final smush down, just rub it there, and we are good to go. Come on, focus. There we go. But now you can see our silicone non-slip grip feet are now installed on both feet. I think I did a pretty good job getting them nice and even and straight. And just Wipe it down. Now that that part is done, now it's time to secure the two pieces together. Actually, to make your life a little bit easier, we're going to put the knob on next. So you have your gold encoder knob, and you're going to take your thicker of the two Allen keys, and you're going to see there's a little set screw on the side. You're going to just loosen it slightly. It doesn't need to be loosened too much. And you're going to then put the knob on the encoder, and it's going to take some force, but you want to kind of do it as gently as possible. So I'm kind of doing a nice pinch grip, a nice central pinch grip to push it down nice and evenly. And you can see it's on. You have to use a little bit of force, but don't get too aggressive. It still is a PCB. It is a little delicate. You could also have a chance of breaking the encoder. Once it's in place, I just tighten it down and double check that knob is spinning. You can feel its little clicks, and also test that it's clicking. I don't know if you could hear it, but it is clicking perfectly. So that is good. Now, the final screws that we need is our countersunk M2.5 by 6 screws. The shorter screws. And what we're going to do is put these down. We're going to take the base plate and the key plate, and you'll just so happen to notice that the 4 countersunk holes on the bottom of your base plate line up perfectly with the standoffs. So we're going to just screw it in one by one, crisscross pattern like I did before. Don't over tighten, but you could tighten it down to its full depth. Perfect. And now your base plate is secured to your keypad. And if you ordered without key switches, this is it. You know what to do from here. But for people that ordered with key switches, this is your next step. We're going to take, we really don't need the Allen keys or anything like that anymore. The only things that we're working with now are our keycaps, our key switches. First thing we're going to do is we're going to pull out our key switches. And the biggest problem I see when dealing with customers is when they say that one of their key switches is not working, there's something wrong with their keypad. But it's really not that. You'll notice that those 2 coppery pins, if one of them is bent down like that and you try to put it into the socket, it's not going to make a connection, so it's not going to work. And it also has a chance of crumpling up. So you need to make sure before you put in a key switch that these pins, luckily they're durable enough that you could easily bend them nice and straight. And if they're like really crumpled up after you messed up putting them in once, it's not a big deal to grab like a pair of pliers or a pair of tweezers and unbend it and straighten it out. So now you can see the 2 pins are nice and straight, and they will go into the 2 holes on the bottom down there. You want to make sure that you're pressing the key in flat and it's flush. You'll hear a slight click most of the time. Oh, perfect example. And it came from the factory like this. Key switch. Focus. Is bent. It's hooked over for some reason. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take a pair of pliers. And bend it back nice and straight. Perfect. So now onto the second key. Remember, make sure that they are going in nice and straight. If you have to put too much force, there may be something wrong, but you will have to put a little bit of force to get them in. You want to make sure that those pins are lined up with the socket. And you're done. Remember, like I said, if one of your switches isn't working, the first thing you should do is pull out that switch and double check those pins. Make sure that they are straight and they are making a connection with the socket. It's the most emailed thing I get. All right, now that we got this all in place, I forgot to just do a double check of the screen cover to make sure that it's nice and straight. And we did a pretty good job initially. So now I'm just going to tighten these down to its full tightness. Perfect. Now onto the keycaps, the most self-explanatory process in this whole setup. If you aren't familiar with keyboards or mechanical key switches, plus shaped stem, plus shaped hole. If it'll focus, there we go. And you just go ahead and they slip right on. And we are complete. Totally done, ready to go. Ready to move on to the next step in the guide, how to set up VIA and how to map your keypad, how to use your buttons, make macros, do everything like that. If you have any trouble, don't hesitate to shoot me an email or reach out on the contact form on my website or even hit up the Discord. The community is building. There's a lot of smart people over there. Maybe they'll be able to help you out, but hopefully this video should give you a little bit of insight on how to assemble everything. Let's just do a little test. I actually have to unplug my little portable monitor just to test it out. This isn't plugged into a keyboard or anything, just to power. But as you can see, turned on, got your OLED screen on, you got your lights on the bottom. And let's see, as I cycle through the layers, you can see 1, 2, 3, 0. And you can see the LEDs flashing on the bottom. As I cycle through the layers, for layer 1, it flashes white. For layer 2, it flashes red. For layer 3, it flashes green. And for layer 2, it flashes green. For layer 3, it flashes blue. So WRGB. So it's a good way to know what layer you're on out of the corner of your eye without having to look at the screen. And as I cycle through, you can see. Perfect. Thank you guys so much. I hope this helped. Like I said, email me if you run into any issues or check out the contact form. There's illustrations on the guide, so check it out. It may give a little bit of insight on what I was doing in this video. Thanks a lot. Also, I have a video on how to set up VIA, so check that out next. It applies the same exact way to this keypad as it does in that video. So thank you all so much, and thank you for buying the Udon v.2. I'm very proud of it, and I'm very happy that so many people enjoyed it. All the best, guys.